Hey there. Happy week, whatever day it is for you watching this video. I hope all is going well and everything is fab. I've got my green tea in my turquoise Fiesta cup. And you know what that means? That means we are serious about playing some D&D. And I'm on the best character class, a Warlock. I mean, let's be honest, right? They are very cool. I don't know if you guys have played any Baldur's Gate 3, but the Warlocks in that, it's clear why they've gotten nerfed so much in DDO, because they are just OP. So I'm on my Warlock. I'm on Mary, I'm on Sarlona. The after party is going on Hardcore League, and we are going to quest some R4s. Is that stepping it up a notch? I think it might be, because I think everybody does R1. So we're going to do the R4s. We're going to do them solo, and this is the gear that I'm using for now. I'll go through it really quickly, just so you guys know. Goggles of Unbroken Sight with a Topaz of Featherfall. Crown of Snow, best in slot caster helmet until you get the legendary Crown of Snow. There are some circumstances where it's not best in slot, but I still think it's best in slot. Bottled Sunlight necklace with a Mythic +1 and a Sapphire of Defense 8. Magic Conch gives me my Sonic lore and resonance. Viarlan Mirror Cloak gives me my spell resistance 17, which stacks with my Drow spell resistance. The Black Dragon Scale Tacit, which is great because when I cast a spell and kill an enemy, I have a chance to be hasted, and I also have a chance to get something called Reckless Fury cast on me, which makes any attacks that I do, melee, ranged, or unarmed, do 5% more damage. Now, we don't really care about that, but the chance to have haste cast on us is great. It also gives us acid resistance, which helps, and I put a Diamond of Constitution +3 in that. We're using the Ring of Winter's Chill for the Kinetic Lore and Impulse, because my two damage types right now in chain shape as a Fey Pact Warlock are Sonic and Force. Sonic being my Pact damage, and Force being my Arcane, the damage that I get from my just being a Warlock. The gloves I'm using are the Gloves of Tranquility. They give me blurry regen, and if I hit something, I get improved culling strikes, but that doesn't matter. I put a Diamond of Strength +3 in that. The boots are the Thorn boots. I don't care about having boots with movement. These give me Wisdom +4. I don't benefit from Bloody Thorns because I don't have any wilderness lore, but I do benefit from Rough Hide, Natural Armor, the Mythic +1, and then the Sapphire False Life that I put in there. I'm using a Quiver of Alacrity, which gives me 30% striding, so I don't need to worry about the boots. The ring I'm still using is the Ring of the Buccaneer, which I have a Sapphire of Moderate Fortification in. Green Dragon Scale Bracers, one of the best caster items in the game with the Sapphire of Good Luck in it. The Leaf Mail, which is the caster light armor from the Feywild, exceptional universal spell lore, exceptional universal spell power, physical sheltering, which doesn't matter because I'm using a Sapphire of Defense, and then I have a Sapphire of Resistance 3 in that. My main hand right now is the Queen's Scepter. I looted one with a Mythic 2, and it's got a Meteoric Star Ruby in it if I need to swing it at anything that procs pretty often. And then my shield is a Hexbreaker that I was able to loot with a Mythic +2. I have not put a gem in the slot, but likely I would put something like a diamond, to get a stat. So let's say I wanted to do a diamond of dexterity +3, then I could get rid of this Ring of the Buccaneer. and wear something else. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to continue. I was looking through my ingredients bags earlier to make sure that I had space, and I've got my Illyri, which I'm going to use as a battery, but we're going to solo this stuff. So I'm level 6. I was able to, after doing the level 2s that you guys saw me do in the last video, I had enough XP banked that I was able to get to level 6 after running around in the Feywild Explorer area for a little bit. I did a couple of the Slayer Zone chests out there, and I was able to get to level 6. And now we are going to do level 4 quests. The first one we're going to start with is everyone's favorite, Earstone Inlet, which is the first quest in the Three Barrel Cove saga. And it's going to likely be a complete disaster.
The gruff voices of hobgoblins can be heard nearby.
So I have to watch out for champions. One of the things that I did, I'll show you guys my changes to the build since the last time. I added color spray. I get fear immunity from Reality Bulwark, magic missile immunity from You've Got My Back. I'm not using the face sword anymore, but I am using Colors of the Queen for damage, so that can proc if you cast a color spray. It's one of the reasons that I like to use that. And then now I'm going up Tainted Scholar. I will get as much of this as I can. At level 12, I'm going to switch into this tree here. But prior to level 12, it's terrible. I can get everything like magic missile immunity, fear immunity. I can get it all out of this tree, and this tree gives me access to color spray. This tree would just give me some extra hit points for wearing the light armor. None of this stuff matters if you're not actually in an aura. So while I could take this resist energies, and I could take some of these, which I eventually will, for when I start to use summons for various, to help me in various quests, I will take some of those. But for now, it makes no sense. Everything is more powerful here. As we go up in Tainted Scholar, we will get some pretty decent power, and we will be able to use Underdark Blast and switch from Force to Radiance damage. But for now, and I'll show you guys, here's a Carnage Reaper. So I was able to hit one of the Reapers, the Famine Reaper, with my color spray. And while it doesn't last forever, you can see it's a very effective CC. Very, very effective. So I have switched from, I was using the Shardakai, now I'm using the Deep Gnome Past Life for the +3 to illusion DCs. And so you can see my avoidance defenses. I don't yet have Ghostly. I have 20 concealment, 7 dodge, and then for my spell casting, my illusion is +8, my evocation is +8, so not bad. I would like to get my illusion DCs up a little bit, but you know, as long as I'm hitting at least 50%, then I'm okay. Our healing is still the same. We are still tack healing between wands and potions. And our main strategy for dealing with these, because these bugbears and hobgoblins will knock you down. So our main strategy is to stay far away from them and do what I talked about in the last video, which is circle boxing around the center. So even though that is a PvP term, we can use it here. So for this, I'm going to go invisible and then try to sneak up on these people and make this fight a little bit easier on me, because Dinks hits hard, and then the casters, what I'm doing is trying to give them a moving target, because I don't want them to hit me with any of the spells that they throw. They did get a Ray of Enfeeblement on me, but it did not encumber me, so that's good. And you can solve that with Lesser Restore. It doesn't look like I have Lesser Restore, so I'm going to have to remind myself to get Lesser Restores. So there's a Plague Reaper. I will color spray it. First I Dark Delirium it because my color spray didn't go off, and then there's my color spray. I also have Dark Delirium, which is a level 6 Warlock Fey Pact ability, and it's very good. It basically will cause any enemy that you do that to stop moving, and then you can damage them, but they are more likely, if you damage them, to start moving again. But what that does, it will give you a second or two to implement whatever your next plan is. So I don't care if they hit me with that Ray of Enfeeblement, because it's not encumbering me. Problem is that if you come in here with very low strength and they hit you with that, then all of a sudden you wouldn't be able to move.
Several patrols.
So we're going to do the same thing and try to color spray these. Alright, so I got the family report. So now the Shaman is probably the most dangerous thing, so I'm just going to do the moving around him to try to stay away from his melee range. Like I said, with those ogres, whenever they do that jumping over the head baseball bat, it's usually like a guaranteed crit. So you don't want to be anywhere near that unless you have really good PRR. My PRR is 74, my MRR is 49, and my armor class is 70. Make myself invisible, and then I'm going to color spray. You can see that even invisible, they can see me. So invisibility doesn't really work, but it allows me to sort of get a little bit closer. So I have to keep the focus of my center movement as I do my circle boxing around whatever the most dangerous is, and that will be any Reaper that appears. This quest is very easy to get overwhelmed because, like I said, the monsters trip. You have to be really careful. what I noticed too, sometimes the AI, if you are invisible, they will, even once you become visible, they still kind of act like you were invisible a little bit. So it's one of the reasons why I like to use invisibility. I think it's a great spell, even though it doesn't really work.
Use them to trap Yar-Yar's schooner while he's ashore.
It's such a game changer to have a good CC. I always like to have more than one, so I have two. I have Color Spray and Dark Delirium. And while Dark Delirium is only single target, it's no fail. They don't get a saving throw. So if something is chasing me and I really need a breather, if he's getting too up close and personal, we can always just Dark Delirium them. I'm going to go Invis to go in here for this. I don't see any Reapers, but...
At a cook pot in the back of the camp, a kobold mixes a pungent brew. 'Tis the kobold cook, Scarton.
It's not able to Color Spray the kobold. The favorite soul is a little bit easier, I think, at low level with the sound burst being so good. You can sound burst and color spray. It's just very strong. So then you get, once you get flame strike, I think you get flame strike at level 7. It just becomes very strong because you can, flame strike has a little bit of a cast wind up time. But if you can CC the stuff and then flame strike it, it hits really hard. Flame strike does fire damage, but it also does bane damage. So it makes it a very, very effective way to kill just about anything. So we'll do the same thing in Viz, and then we'll run in and try to color spray this stuff here. The warg will trip me. I have to stay far away. That little jump that they do with the 2 front paws that go up, that's actually it trying to trip you. So, you want to stay far away, especially if you're on Hardcore League. You know, if you get tripped by a warg at the beginning of that fight, and you're not a tanky character with a shield, if you're just you could die. One of these champions, like that Solar Cruelty, if he were to hit you while you were prone, I'm not going to let him get close enough to hit me because I don't want to know. I have 340 hit points, plus I can get another 50 from my false life. 55, so you know I have 400 hit points. I still don't want them to get near me because I don't want to die. So you have to stay far away. Now Hardcore League's a bit easier if you're running on Elite, Hard, or Normal, or you know if you're doing R1 in Heroics. Not many people quest R4 in Heroics on Hardcore League, but I'm sure people do it. Sure people do it. Some really good players in Hardcore League. So. So I love the Feydark tree. I use it on all my characters. You guys who have played around with any of my builds will know that. I think it's a great utility tree because it allows you to be sort of like a fighter magic user or an arcane cleric, or, you know, on this it augments the Warlock very nicely. So even though I won't use it later for early game, especially on Hardcore League, because it has a lot of utility, like it will give you a sword that has Ghost Touch on it, and you don't need to go anywhere to get it. You just have to go into your, you know, your abilities and take it, select it when you're setting your enhancements. So that's very helpful, because one of the things that used to be really like standard DDO if you were doing any sort of melee build is trying to find a weapon that would allow you to hurt, you know, ghosts and undead.
3 cheers for our funny rescuers.
So you can get that sword right away with the Feydark Illusionist tree. I hope the next universal tree that we get is something equally useful, and I would love to see them update Harper tree. The Harper tree was done so long ago that, you know, I would love to see it updated. Some of the abilities in there are really good, but some of them are just not up to date. They, you know, they're old school. They feel like the game was 10 years ago. But now, you know, the meta has changed, so. But it's still a really good tree if you're a trapper. So, sort of the go-to tree for a trapper. Famine Reaper. Okay, got the Famine Reaper. Circle box around the Famine Reaper. No, I will just look for a champion. I don't see any. So we just circle box. Circle box, I used to do that all the time. You know, you do that when you're PvP against other PvPers. And I used to PvP a lot. Dark Delirium. We'll just make him stand there, but I already had some damage on him, so. Alright, let's see if I can get out of here. So that's it, R4 Earthstone. So I did a lot of PvP. Probably the most PvP I've done is in Star Wars The Old Republic. I used to PvP a lot there. Do the battle arenas. I used to love it. Oh my god. Mary over there is a Sith. And so used to force choke people. That's why I came up with the Jedi build, and the color spray that I do is like the Jedi mind trick or the Sith force choke, you know, because you're running at me and then all of a sudden you can't move. The Fey color spray is even worse because you're blinded, silenced, frozen, helpless. Like, it's just. Alright, so we are going to do Waterworks.
You hear human voices up ahead.
Even though the first 2 are level 3, the second 2 are level 4. And I haven't done waterworks yet, so. It's not that we want to practice doing these quests that we've done a million times over and over. It just so happens that it's very helpful to have the backpack space that getting Coin Lord favor unlocks, and getting Waterworks. Not only is it good XP, but it will help you get more backpack space. So it's certainly worth doing these during a TR. I don't always do it, but it's simple enough. Just come and stand in this corner. So there's an acid trap there. We're just gonna run through it. It's a fire trap here. We're gonna run through that. We're just running through everything. We're gonna try to group all of this stuff up.
You hear a loud chorus of
And if we have to, we can color spray. But likely we're just going to try to burn it all down. We don't want to get tripped by the wolves. Okay, so we're looking for the key. That's what we're... Our main priority in here. We don't really care about all these little kobolds. It's too bad they don't let us diplo them. Like, it's too bad that after all these years we can't talk to, like, one of the... and just tell them, look, we've been coming down into the sewers killing kobolds for, you know, the last 20 years. Maybe we could just have a truce and we could just be neutral to each other. So here's the key. We got the key. So we've got the key. That means that we do not need to go into that room in front of us unless you want to break boxes and get the optional chest. There's a named spider that can be in there, but we don't need it. There's too many boxes. So this particular section right here is where people die because there's wolves right here. And the wolves will pop out and they will trip you. And then because there's so many of them, if they're a champion like that one right in front of me, you can see how much damage she did to me. And I have 400 hit points. So, you know, if you only had 100 hit points, you'd be really close to being killed by that thing. So the champions are no joke. So maybe I can lure that... Yeah, he came down. Okay. So for these casters, because these champion Warlock, you know, the little, whatever they are, the shamans, they can hit you really hard, so I don't want to give them a target. So I'm going to just keep moving. Now I've got the high ground, so I am going to burn down everything else. There's a trap on that ladder, so we're not going to go near it. Pull that lever and we're good to go. So if you haven't seen Dark Delirium, I'll show you on this warrior. So here's a warrior. He's right in my face. I hit him with Dark Delirium, and he stops. And he will stay like that. You know, if I lure him away, he woke up. So it lasts about 5 seconds, I'd say, maybe, give or take. If I get another monster alone, I will use it and then take a look at him and see what the timer says. Maybe it's 10 seconds. So let's see if somebody pops out of this door. Yes. Oh, there's a bunch. But there is a solo thrower right there. So what we'll do is, yeah, it's 5 seconds. Now, I don't know that it was always 5 seconds. I kind of think when they first implemented it that it had no timer on it, because I remember using that on things and just leaving them. So that's unfortunate that they made it 5 seconds, but it is really strong because there's no save, so you can use it on anything. I think anything that has a mind. I don't think it would work on an ooze, but I haven't tried it on an ooze or a spider or something. I'll give it a try as we quest.
You hear an arrogant and loud yipping voice behind the door.
Try. So these monsters are a little too spread out for me to color spray, so I'm just going to ignore. I'm trying to CC them and just attack them. Not letting them get close to me. Even on R4, the little kobolds don't really hurt. It's really champions and reapers that will kill us. But, you know, if a wolf knocked us down, one of the little kobolds certainly would hurt. So this is part 1. Part 2 can be a little bit tricky depending on where Arlos is, but should be okay. For this, I'm just going to basically ignore everything. I'm invisible and just get out of here. That's why I love invisibility. I have an endless flask of Death Ward. It lasts 10 minutes. That's what I will use. Okay, so color sprayed most of them. So I love using color spray on Hardcore League because it really allows me to help my group with the CC. Spell resistance will keep me safe from any of the casters who are trying to cast Hold Person or some other spell on us that
This appears to be clan
is designed to ruin our day. There's Black Reaper. Color sprayed. The Black Reapers, they come from the Stormreach Dentistry office. And they are trying to check your teeth for cavities. They don't extract them, right? They tell the dragons who make a note of it in the Draconic Prophecy. So then you get to hear about it. Yeah, this is definitely getting a little spicy, eh? Okay, Famine Reaper's almost dead. Color spray them all. We need to calm them all down. Lightbearer guy is getting Dark Deliriums. Okay, did we see Arlos? No. That's unfortunate. It's great if you get lucky and he's up top. There's a prisoner. So we don't need to free these prisoners because it's just a little bit of extra XP. Oh, no, he's right here. Excellent. So this makes it easy because now we can just end the quest. So I do need to make sure I need to run ahead a little bit because there are mobs that pop on this area here. So I need to make sure that these are dead because he will fight them. There's a caster also in that trap area. Yeah, right there. But these are the last 4 mobs. You can see that belt that I'm wearing just put a haste on me too. So that's why I really like that. I think it's a great item to use for any class, but for on a caster, especially a warlock, it's just you're always hasted. Procs a lot. Very good. Okay, so we finished part 1 and part 2. We will exit and re-enter for part 3 and 4 on R4. And we're doing these solo, alone, all alone. We are going to ignore the fact that we do most things in real life alone, because this is a video game. But I do have buddies if I needed one. I have probably the best favored soul up until Nimith at level 8 is the level 5 Unindil? I don't know how to say her name. That's a very strange name. Onin? No, there's no N after the Aunidil. Aunidil. I don't know why they... Anyway, she's very good. And then I have Frago, and then I have my Feywild Muse, should I need it. And then I have Illyri, who I could also use, but she's got Divine Vitality. The favorite soul does not have Divine Vitality, but she's just a very smart... she's the best. So the level 1 cleric is smart. She's good at level 5. Nimith at level 8. At level 12, there is a smart favored soul. I forget her name. And then at level 15, Lara Faye. And then at level 19, the favored soul. And I think the reason that they're smart is they all share the same AI. So not just if you didn't know that the way that they made hirelings, they have them broken up into heal bots, melee, caster DPS, ranged DPS. So they have yet to give us a ranged, although I do think that you can buy a ranged, like, Gold Seal. I think there's a couple of rangers that you can use that are ranged. I may be making that up from a dream or something, but I think there is. But most of the hirelings are set to melee DPS, so that's why a lot of times when you get a cleric and use it, they'll just wade in, swinging a mace around. It's like, dude, why are you doing that? I want you to heal. And it's like, because they're coded as melee DPS. They're coded to be like a war priest. And so even though war priest is a tree in the favored soul, and even though some are coded like that, these ones that I'm telling you about are coded as caster DPS. So if you like Larafay, if you've ever used Larafay, if you know what I'm talking about, Larafay plays very smart because she stays back and she casts and she will heal in between casting. The problem with Larafay is that she's such a good caster DPS that she will just dump all of her mana immediately, trying to murder everything. So these characters, you know, I probably will show you in a quest when I need a little bit of help, but she doesn't have all of the spells that Larafay has to spam, but she has a few. So she will spam Sound Burst, which works as a low level CC. She'll throw heals. She'll throw the laser beam, the searing light, whatever that's called. So, you know, her DPS helps because she's not coded to run in like a melee. She's coded to run in like caster DPS. And that's what you want. And there's a few. The level 1 cleric plays really well, although usually you're better off using barbarian at level 1 if you use a hireling, but the level 1 cleric is good. This level 5 favored soul, the level 8 favored soul named Nimith.
A break covers a shot that disappears.
And then there's a level 12 favored soul, and I forget her name, and then Larafay, and then there's a level 19 favored soul. Are some of the clerics good? Or any of them coded as caster DPS? It could be. I haven't done an experiment on all of the hirelings. I'm sure there are other hirelings that use the caster DPS intelligence, but what you want to avoid, I guess what the takeaway is from the conversation, is you want to try to figure out which ones are coded to do melee DPS and stay away from them because they won't heal you. They're just going to run in and try to whack things with their club. And you can usually tell by what they have on the bar for the hireling, like what abilities do they put on the bar. If they're melee abilities, then you know that that hireling is not going to be good to function as a caster heal bot because it's set up like a melee. So it would be really nice if they allowed us to select, you know, and on any hireling, like if we right-clicked on it, we could select whether or not we wanted them to play as ranged melee or caster DPS. You know, that would be really great to give them, to be able to select and give them a job. Other games have done that, like in Star Wars The Old Republic, you could select whether you wanted your companion to be a DPS, a healer, or a tank, and they would completely change their build based on which one you selected. And it didn't matter which you selected. So basically all of the hirelings were the same. It's just they look different on the outside. But the difference between that game and this game is that those were companions that leveled up with you. So I think the DDO could do that if it, you know, allowed us to have a system like that where we got to level up a companion with us. But for right now, the way that they have it implemented, because companions were added so long ago, it would probably be too much spaghetti code for them to change anything in a meaningful way. So we just have to make the best of it the way it is right now. But, you know, there are, the takeaway is there are better hirelings to use. It's not like whenever you hit a level, you just find the first one of that level that you see and just buy it and use it. You know, there are, in some circumstances, it is better to stay with a lower level hireling, even though they will lack on hit points, skill points, and ability points. You know, what I mean specifically is this level 5 Favored Soul, I will use it until I can use Nimith at level 8. If I need to summon a hireling, I won't even bother with any of the other hirelings until I get to Nimith at level 8, because all of the other hirelings are just going to be completely idiotic next to this one. And it's not that she's not an idiot, she's still a DDO hireling, so she still will do stupid stuff like stand in a trap and die, but they're just, the background code, like her job is coded as a caster DPS, so she will try to nuke stuff. A good example of like a melee is level 7. They give you, when you make a new character, if you start at level 7, they'll give you the cleric. I think it's Flowers is her name, and she's a dwarf cleric. She will just want to run in and whack everything with her mace or whatever weapon she has, and that's because, you know, her coding in the back is telling her to do melee DPS, and while she may stop smacking monsters for a second to throw a heal on you, it's not nearly as good. This Favored Soul level 5 is way more effective as a healer than that level 7 one, because this is a caster. And so while she'll be nuking stuff with her spell cast, she'll also be throwing heals. So if you use hirelings, or if you wanted to use hirelings. So the other thing to keep in mind is that for whatever reason, the epic hirelings, they do not scale correctly, and I'm not sure if it's because they're using the old Destiny system that was originally designed by Turbine way back, and they've never been updated. I mean, those are old. Those hirelings go way back to when level 20 was the cap. So they don't scale correctly into epics. So when you purchase and use a level 21 hireling, it is probably worse than the level 20 hireling. So what I always do is I always use the level 19 Favored Soul healer all the way into epics. I will change it now that they added the level 30, but the level 30 is coded sort of like a melee. I believe it has the melee, so it's not even that good. I still have used the level 19 in legendary content. They don't live because they have no hit points, so they usually die unless you can boost them from some abilities like augmented summoning or something like that. But even then, hirelings sort of become ineffective. But, you know, if I need one, I'll usually just stick with, like, you could use Larafay. If you really wanted to run around with a hireling, you certainly could use Larafay in epics. It's just she wouldn't have the hit points, but she would certainly do the DPS. I mean, she is very, very good. So we just used Dark Delirium to stop that Reaper in his tracks and give us a second so that we could start nuking him down. I'm going to look for Arlos, and I found him. He's right there. So that means that we can end this immediately because we're just going to go to the end. So there's him. The end is just to the left here. You take a left and then another left, and that's where the last fight is. So you can start by, you know, coming here, left, left, and then after you do this, go look for Arlos. Usually what I do.
Cruel
So this room right here is the last room, and then the quest will end. And there's a chest. That was easy. That was very quick and easy. I guess the next thing that we could do is Chanticleer. It's either that or the quests in the marketplace, but I'm not a huge fan of the Sharn Syndicate quests. To me, they're sort of underwhelmingly, you know, not really that excited about them. I mean, I guess we could do Prufus in the Poison, but that's a long quest, and I usually don't ever do that except on Hardcore League. Like, it's not part of my reincarnation. It's just a little too long of a slog.
The air around
So,
you.
I don't usually do Chanticleer either, but I think it would be interesting because it starts at level 3, and then the next one is, what, level 5, and then the next one is level 7. So the power would creep up. And the other thing that we could do is all of Tangleroot, but I can't do Tangleroot on Reaper, so I probably wouldn't make a video about it because it's a lot of repetition over and over and over, just doing the same thing. Yes, I'm running by those collectibles. I have 800 million of whatever they are. Anything good? So this is where you can still get a Mithril Buckler. I mentioned yesterday that I was using a Mithril Buckler. I'm pretty sure it came from Waterworks. I mean, they need to update this too. I understand that it's sort of, you know, old school, why they haven't updated it, but I would love for them to update all of the really old gear. Red Fens would be nice to get an update, even though I think they updated that not that long ago, but it's still, even that, now that we have the Feywild, even that gear seems like it's completely irrelevant now. I mean, why would I use any of that stuff when the gear that I have is supreme? So we got some. So I unlocked my backpack, which I will go and speak to him. And the thing about Chanticleer is their traps. So we'll have to use Froggo for some of the traps. We'll see how it goes. He may not be able to do it. We may have to try to run through some of the traps, and we may die. Because some of those traps are nasty. So we'll just have to see. Yeah, I mean, you know, not always able to run through traps. You can run through a lot of them, but... Oh, did I go down the road? There it is. Sorry, little kobolds. I don't mean to bother you, but, you know, have to run through your home in order to get to the quest. Don't blame me. Alright, so buffed myself, and This
Wayfinder
first
Dales
one
is
should
the
not be
road.
that bad.
Dale's markings issue the warning. Kobolds ahead.
Nor should the second. It's the third quest that I'm thinking about. That's going to be a challenge. If that's the right word. Okay, so we were able to color spray the Plague Reaper. Great. The whole point of these is, to get XP. I don't really care about favor because I'm going to TR. So, if you need loot, yes. If you need favor, so that's okay. But, you don't have to do R4 to get favor. You can just do it on Elite. So I know you can only do one of these valves, but old school, man. I used to do all three way back when this first launched. And I still do all three. It's a much different game now, though. I think arguably it's more fun now. But it was fun then. The early game, though, was very melee-centric. It still is, in a way. In heroics, low-level heroics especially, melee will just tear it up.
This will be the blockade Dale map. Very intent on keeping anything from the depth.
Two-handed barbarians used to be very, very effective, especially if they were Warforged. They still are. They're still pretty good. Paladins are now in a really good spot. Everything is great. The new Ranger is very fun. They could let you trap and they gave you a pet. Like, it's amazing.
The Wayfinder's last set of markings becomes a bit cryptic.
I hope some of the devs are playing Baldur's Gate 3 and getting some inspiration from that game, because they did a really good job in that game of making some of the class subclasses and races. It would be really cool to get some of those subclasses that they have from the 5e rules. I also really like the system that 5e uses for advantage and disadvantage. I think it's great. It's very fun. There's no surprise why it's the most popular rule set of all time. It's very cool.
The rune hums to life. You hear the grinding of several large gears.
Carnage Reaper wants to be my new best friend. Nope. Sorry, buddy. Stranger danger. Don't you know I'm over 40 and making friends over 40 is almost impossible? Not completely impossible, but almost. It's not like when you were a kid and you can make a friend a day and have hundreds of friends because you were in school together. Adults don't like people. Oh, see, the ghoul wants to be my buddy. Sorry. Buddies don't try to claw at buddies. Alright, so I could, so rather than go get the key's around the corner, I'm just gonna have Frogo pick the door. We'll leave Froggo right there in case I need to pick another lock. So if you're on a rogue or with a rogue, you don't have to get that key. You don't have to fight the arcane skeleton. You can just pick the door. There's a necromancer through that door, so he used to kill people. So back in the day, I'll tell you my story. Back in the day when we used to walk through the snow with no shoes on for 50 miles to play DDO, people used to fight that necromancer, and when this game was new, any effect that was cast on you, like in the rules, was permanent. So if you got blindness cast on you, that effect was permanent to your character, and you could not remove it. There was nothing. You needed to talk to a cleric who would remove it, or obviously drink a potion, but they weren't that readily available back then when nobody had any money. You know, I think they were expensive, and so the clerics that you can talk to in a bar, if you were to go talk to one, that's a remnant of this old school system, because it will ask you, do you need a restoration? Do you need a level drain, blindness, an ability score, damage? That stuff was all permanent. So the reason I started talking about that is that people would fight that necromancer and wind up blind. And because, you know, I mean, unless you had a cleric with you who specialized in removing blindness, which a lot of people, there was sort of a weird thing in DDO where there was like an anti-healer. It wouldn't be that unusual for you to go in a group with a cleric and say, oh great, we have a healer, and for the cleric to get so irate and say, I'm not a healer. I'm a war priest. And then, you know, people would say, all right, yeah, we're not inviting that guy again. Because everybody wanted a healer. Everybody wanted a cleric to heal. Well, if they didn't take cure blindness or remove curses were permanent conditions that you had to go. So now you're blind. Nobody can do anything. You have to run through the quest blind, or recall, and then run through the harbor blind to the inn or to the bar where you find the cleric. So normally somebody would have to like hold your hand and lead you to a cleric at the bar so you could buy the removed blindness. It was so crazy. Like, I remember one of my characters got blinded and I just logged it off. I think I deleted the character because I just didn't want to go through what was involved in getting the stupid blindness fixed. Well, they changed all that eventually, right? They put timers on all of them, so now it doesn't last that long. People don't care at all now about getting blinded because they know it's not going to last that long. What's it last 2 or 3 minutes now? But that is not how it is in the rules, and so that's not how it was when this game first launched. A lot of things were different.
You hear the sound of heavy
Back then, magic missile used to kill a lot. Magic missile and flame strike used to kill everyone. Matter of fact, if you had a caster enemy that could flame strike, that would be why those flesh renders and fire reavers and ice flencers used to kill a lot of people back in the day, because nobody had resists. There weren't ships, so you had no ship buffs, so people were running around with 0 resist to elements, and the only thing that, you know, a lot of people played ranged or melee, and it was just a much different experience trying to fight stuff like that. Ice flencers to kill everybody. And that stuff still kills people now. So I'm going to use my Skullduggery Cap to get Death Ward, and then I'm going to use my Eternal Flask of Freedom of Movement for Freedom of Movement. And I will also cast Jump on myself just to make sure I have it. Because this quest is a higher level, I have to be more careful in here. This is a level 6, so we are doing R4 at level. So I have to be careful to keep stuff away. The only real defensive I have is my dodge and my blur, which work, but I have to make sure that I don't let anything get too close to me. We also need to CC any Reapers that we can. So there's my color spray, and burn it down. I think Reaper is great addition to DDO. It really allows you to play the game that you want, you know, really increasing the difficulty. I've done these quests so many times that for me, this is a nice challenge. I was very enthusiastic about it when they were first implementing it, and I've not been disappointed. I'm not super excited about the rewards. Like, I think they could have done something better for our Reaper rewards. The pet, the wings, the eyes. You know, I mean, considering the beautiful artwork that exists in this game and all of the different backstories for where it comes from and what it has to do with it, it's always been underwhelming to me, but I'm hoping that because now that they've given us some really interesting Hardcore League rewards, that when they refresh Reaper, they allow us to use our Reaper points to buy some interesting cosmetics, because otherwise the power creep is just going to go up too much. There are people with, what's the highest person have now? 320 Reaper points or something? I mean, so many points that you can't even spend them. They fill their entire board up, and that's it. They fill this entire thing up. I don't know how many points is the maximum in there, but probably like around 160, 180, somewhere around there. What do you do? I'm at 87 points. I'm halfway there. What am I going to do then? I don't like the idea that they had where party would pool their Reaper bonuses
The river canal below is blocked by a locked gate.
with people who have lower points, because to me, I mean, I wouldn't mind it if they were able to frame it in some way that had to do with like the 5e rule set. Like, I want this game to stay Dungeons and Dragons, you know? I know it's a video game and they have to make it a video game, right? But this is different than Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, they basically made a WoW clone, and it's good, it's fun. They did a great job. But this is based on Dungeons and Dragons, and yes, 3.0 rules, but they could modernize it, and so I'm sure that there are some rules that they could, come up with based on 5 that they could implement. So maybe trying to use the advantage-disadvantage system in regards to Reaper questing. I don't know. I haven't really sat down and thought it out, but I'm just spitballing right now that it would be nice, but I hope whatever they do, they keep it Dungeons and Dragons, basically. I mean, I'm not playing, as an example, Baldur's Gate. because I wanted to play another video game. I'm playing Baldur's Gate now because it's Dungeons and Dragons. I play DDO because it's Dungeons and Dragons Online, and I've played it since beta. I've played this game for a long time because I love Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to be part of the community of gamers that play it. I've always liked it, and so I want this game to stay Dungeons and Dragons at its core. I understand because it's live action, it's not turn-based, that they have to change certain rules and certain abilities to function in a live environment. In a game that has, turns built into the core idea of how combat works. But they've done a great job, and I think our combat system is really fun. I like the physics aspect of it, that you can jump out of the way of arrows. So that was a Dark Delirium and a color spray, just because I was getting beat on. Reason I came back here is there's a chest back here. And a collectible. So zigzag heal. Drink a potion, use your wand. Drink a potion, use your wand. Drink a potion. It's like you're some crazy person turning the air conditioning off and on. The heat, the air conditioner. The heat, the air conditioner. Yeah, I know. I have like 16 different metaphors for healing. You're a sailboat and you're tacking. Or you're a lightning bolt and you're zigzagging. I don't know. Whatever helps you understand the concept. Drink a potion. Use your wand. Drink a potion. And then once you have the ability to use scrolls, you can do 3. But usually what you do is you replace one of them with the scroll cast. So once you get heal scrolls, then you would do like heal scroll, wand, heal scroll, wand, heal scroll, wand. So you're still tack healing. Tacking like a sailboat tacks back and forth. You're tack healing. Yes. I use a lot of the concepts, the things that I talk about. If I haven't heard them from somewhere else, I made them up. Like my circle boxing, it's entirely possible that I made up circle boxing, thinking that I was doing something that some other PvPer was doing. But it was effective, it worked. And it works for NPCs as well. So I have to be careful in this last fight because there's a bunch of wolves, and the wolves we know, not only can these hobgoblins knock you down, but the wolves can knock you down. And if you get knocked down and there's a champion there with a damage buff, so we're gonna make sure that we've got our boosts on. Looks like I need to refresh my... Oh, yeah, the timer's not up, though. My freedom of movement. Alright, so this is where I need to be careful. I'm going to watch for those wolves. Here they come. And we will color spray now. Oh, so I missed. But that's okay. Everything died. Problem with that is that the door behind you closes.
Seal is hidden deep in
I almost ran out of room.
Soon we
But
use
it
to
worked out.
bargain with Bergthrum.
This should level us? No, not yet. Alright, so this now is level 7. We are level 6, so we are 1 level below. Okay, got everything buffed. I'm gonna put jump on myself. There's mobs right here to the right. Just make sure that I get rid of them so they don't chase me. Stay away from that Wolfie because he was champion. I'll take the mana. There's a couple mobs right here. Oh, it's a Plague Reaper. Is he behind me now? Or did I kill him? No, he's behind me. Yeah, they warp. The Plague Reaper was coming to check my teeth. That Soul of Ice Wolf, he got knocked down by a Colors of the Queen proc, but he was trying to trip me. So there is a chest in there, but because I am 1 level below, I'm going to skip it. Not worry about the extra fight, because for all I know, there's like 6 Reapers in there. This quest, we just want to get out as fast as we can. So we will do whatever we can to get advantage. There's a secret door there. So I have to break my stance here and then arm my ranged weapon and target this lever. And I've noticed since the last patch that it's not, for some reason, easy to target ranged levers anymore. See if I can get this on a jump. Okay, got it. I mean, that is much too difficult. I have been playing for a long time, and I'm used to doing stuff like that, but for a new player, how would they ever do that? They wouldn't. They'd basically have to do the secret doors. Unless it's just me with throwing weapons, maybe bow and arrows hit those levers easier, but for some reason I've noticed that hitting levers with ranged weapons is not working as it used to work. It's a bunch of spiders that are gonna try to have a party with me. And Black Reaper, who my color spray failed, but I can delirium. Get myself healed up. So that's why I like to have 2 or more CCs, because when the first one fails, now whether it activated or not, I tried to color spray, but it just didn't work. Sometimes that's one of the realities of DDO. You press an ability and nothing happens. So this is what? Is it acid? Let me see if I can trigger it without hitting it. Yeah, it's acid. So around the corner there's a bunch of casters. So first things first, let's see if Froggo can do this trap. So I've got Froggo, I've got my necklace, give him good hope. There's the box. Have at it, buddy. Don't walk into the trap. Just, okay. So he got it. So there's another box right around this corner here. You can see I'm still able to see them because of my racial abilities. But I need to make sure that these casters are taken care of. The marksmen really aren't that bad, but I don't want them shooting at Froggo, so I know that there's casters right above me too, so hopefully he can do this. Alright, he did it. Yeah, so if you have Froggo, he's able to trap this. Whether he can do it without the buff, the Good Hope, I'm not sure, but keep in mind too that I'm not probably a good person to test that on because I also have the Druid buff on him, so he's getting a bonus to his intelligence. There is a cleric who is just, there he is. So this is good because that means that Froggo can get the trap in the next room as well, which, you know, we technically could jump run through it, but these traps will one-hit kill you, especially that one behind me will, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you have something like Blood Tribute or a lot of temporary hit points to try to do something like run through that on that ladder. I wouldn't even try it. On Hardcore League, I would wait for a trapper to do that. Now, you know, have I seen people like run up and do that? Sure. Yeah, some people are nuts. They'll do. But a lot of people die doing stuff like that, so. Okay, so there's a trap right there. There's a trap on this bridge. I want to try to lure them into running into the fire to help me kill them. You can just run over this like that and get over to this chest if you want to loot it, if you don't have a trapper. But we will go back and get the trap box, which is right here. So now he's got that trap. There's another trap box, which is right down the bottom here, which it looks like the difficulty on this box is higher than the others because I'm not auto-flagging it. I actually have to have him search for it, which he did, and he found it. That's a good sign. See if he can disarm it. Yep. So I'm going to pin him because the next one is right on the other side of this. I believe it's in, I think it's here. I'm gonna have him look for it. It's been a while since I trapped this. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, and that's it. That's all the traps. Oh, actually, you know what? There is one more that we need. We need him for. Actually, I think maybe there's two more. Now that I think of it. So the first one is right here behind this. Yeah. And then there's one more down the bottom. Just hug the wall. Alright, so that is the last trap. Now that may not be the only, I may have missed a trap box, but that should qualify us for a bonus. Yeah, we got Ingenious Debilitation. That's nice, we like XP. This last fight should be pretty simple. But you never know. If we got a champion, elemental, we could get rock grabbed or whatever they call that. He's got really high damage reduction. So this fight used to be a giant. That used to be a fire giant way back in the day. and what people used to do, the entrance to this room was different, and it used to look a little bit like this. It was an arch, but you used to be able to jump up and then like jump up onto the top over here. They completely changed it, but like right here. And you used to be able to jump up onto the top and just burn the fire giant down. He couldn't reach you, so they completely changed it. You know, they made it into whatever this dude is. I don't think he's a giant. I think he's a golem or something. And then they redid the room completely, so it's now that opening is completely different. The same thing they did that quest that they did that on also was the level 8 quest where you go and you fight the giant General Xantalar. Stormreach or Stormcleave Outpost, I think it's called. They completely redid that quest as well. The end fight used to be different. You used to be able to lure that giant to the arch, to the doorway, jump up onto the doorway and just nuke him down. They made it so that he's in that room now. It's different. But, you know, a lot of things like that when the game first launched, people used to come up with all sorts of creative ways. So this Shadow Star is great if you wanted to do a thrower, low-level thrower. I'm actually using that. It's keen and it has deception on it, so very good. All this gear needs to be updated. This Spell Shield Docent is great if you're a Warforged on Hardcore League because you can get 13 spell resistance, which is meaningful at low level. It's a level 2 item. So, but I don't see anything. You know, this is a good greatsword. It's a keen greatsword, so that would be really worth farming for if you were doing a two-handed build, and I'll take that probably because it's the best item that we have there. So I leveled. I'm going to level up. There's no reason to not level up because I'm just, leveling up, doing R4. So if I take 7, that means that the next video will be me doing the Feywild's R4 Heroic Feywild. I'll level up with you guys here now. So, sticking with Bluff, sticking with Jump. Jump is so useful. You cap out at 40, and I have the Jump spell, but still, I want to be capped at Jump. Jump is so useful for everything. UMD as well is super useful. Perform is part of my DPS, so I have to continue to put points into that. And then the extra points that I have, I could put a point into balance. I could just keep going with concentration, which I don't really need concentration at this level. It's once I start scroll casting, I will benefit from concentration, so. And then the first spell that we take in this level is Dimension Door. Dimension Door is always the first spell. As soon as you can take it, you take it because it is just so useful for so many different quests to make it easier on you. You want to have it as soon as you can get it. So that's a no-brainer. That is very easy. So what I'll do in the meantime between videos is look and see if I can update any of my gear, and then it looks like I can do a couple things. I have 2 more points. I can either get more pack dice, I can get my charisma to 40, so that's what I'm going to do, because that will make my color spray have a DC will go up by 1 because my charisma is part of that DC. So with a 40 charisma, my bonus is plus 15. So that means that my my spellcasting DCs went up, so that will get a bonus from when I go into Reaper quests, so that will go up when I'm in Reaper. But so it went up. So we'll take a look at these numbers when I'm in the Feywild quests, but that's that. Okay, great. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time.